There's some principles in the 52 that are harder than others. There are some things in business that are harder than others. We know them, like logically, we know that these things are real principles and we need to do them over and over to be successful. And yet sometimes we forget the basics. So as we're going through this principle, if it seems obvious to you, please write it down because this one is not as obvious as it sounds. And if it seems like you're doing really good with this, awesome. Write it down. Give yourself, congratulations for being successful. That being said, welcome back, Alchemists. This is the 52 Weeks to Wealth. My name is Walter Morello, and we've been traveling through this journey of 52 wealth principles for the last 17 weeks. This is wealth principle number 17. You must sell a high ticket item or deal in high volume sales or both. And we'll talk about how we do that in real estate, but I'll give you some examples that are also business related. And I've heard many entrepreneurs after this call say, well, you can't do it in my business. So there will be a Q&A session at the end, and you can pose the question to the group, and we'll show you how you can actually do high ticket sales and high volume sales in your business and how you can actually do both. Before we dive into that, Darina has a couple of announcements that she'd like me to make, and one of them I'd like to make. So first, the website is being adjusted. So alchemiststation.com is going through some changes. We're making it better. We're making it simpler. And two, we've made the community pages free now. So all of the blogs, all of the trainings, all of the courses, everything that Alchemist Station has ever produced, all the trainings I've created, they're free. All of the donated courses, those are free again. So you're welcome. And the newsletter is still going out. So if there's a link or something you're not sure how to get, it is in the newsletter. The newsletter has absolutely everything, all events, all any tools, resources, everything's right there in the newsletter. That also being said, if you're new to the 52 Weeks to Wealth, our goal here is to double your income. It is to double your net worth. It is to get you richer and happier. We do all of our dealings morally, ethically, and legally. If you are not the kind of person who does deals morally, ethically, legally, now's the time to log off. You're not welcome here. For everybody else who says, the only way I do business is to do things morally, ethically, legally, to help others out of a heart of abundance. And I'm going to ask one more thing from you. Commit to building 100 millionaires, and you will be one of the millionaires. So for everybody who's committed, give yourselves a big round of applause. Love having you here. Love being a part of the mission. This year, we do have the goal of 100 locations across the country. And this morning, I cracked the egg on it. I figured it out with Doreen. I said, this is exactly how we do it. And I will reveal that over the next series of weeks. But right now, we do have 28 operational events across the country. So let's give our leaders a big round of applause. 28 leaders with 4 dream managers managing those leaders. Let's give our dream managers a round of applause. Wonderful people, supporting everybody, helping each other level themselves up. Tracking is important. I may talk about that later. So here's some of the problems of not selling high ticket products. Talking to customers, too many customers, and not walking away with a lot of money. If you've ever sold something for under $100 or under $500, you know what I'm talking about. You have to talk to 100 clients, and then 10 of them close, and of the 10, you only make $1,000. It's just not profitable. Has anybody sold soaps or heard of people who sold soaps? I can't. I feel so bad. We had somebody on the call last week. I'm making fun of her right now, but I love her either way. And it's a hard business. That's a high volume business, right? You got to sell a lot of them to make any kind of money. But unfortunately, most people don't have high volume contacts. They don't have a ton of relationships with a ton of people. I got a friend who's a potter. He's a potter, not Harry Potter, but he's a potter. He sits with the wheel, not like Ghost, but kind of like Ghost, where he sits with the wheel and he makes cups and stuff. And he keeps posting great TikTok videos. He's got thousands of followers and he makes almost no money because even with thousands of followers don't convert to sales. And his followers love watching him make pottery, and I'm one of his followers. And I have actually bought stuff because I'm a good friend. Good friends buy stuff from their friends, but his followers are not real friends. They're not really interested in buying his products. And so one of the challenges he's come up with is he still has to work a job. He still has to work a job, and he does his pottery for fun. And he still posts his videos and he still tries to sell. But if he was selling high ticket, and this is the argument I have with him, I'm like, bro, just do something valuable instead of these little things and trying to go with the volume game. Do something ridiculously intricate or ornate that you can sell for thousands of dollars, and I guarantee you'll have a great business. And because he doesn't have the volume, he doesn't have the amount of people to sell a high ticket, high volume product for. Show of hands if you're familiar with what that is. The difference now that you've seen it. Okay. So I think that example really helped clear it up for me. In real estate, we do have the option. We actually have an option to sell high ticket, super high ticket. Show of hands if you've made a lot of money in real estate or know somebody who has. I'll tell you the biggest deal I did. No, not the big. Okay, I won't go with the biggest. I'll talk about the month I made $300,000. Show fans if you'd like to know that story. That's a $300,000 month story. So $300,000. In order to do this, I worked very hard buying two pieces of property. I worked very, very hard finding them off market. And I did a lot of negotiations. I did a lot of talking to a lot of people. And then I closed these properties. Now, when I closed these properties, they were worth, I bought one for $157,000. And I bought the other one for 100 and no, I bought the other one for $97, $97,000. So basically $257,000 I'm into these properties and I held them. I held one for 3 years. I held the other one for 1 year. So the entire time just holding these. And then I sold both in the same exact month. And I walked away from one. The sale was both sales were one was 260, one was 250. So I ended up walking away with close to $250,000 just from two sales, two properties. And because I was doing pretty good in real estate and I had flipped another property, I took another $50,000 in from a sale of a much smaller flip, a little flip that I was doing, a little single family that I bought that I hated. Hated it for the longest time, but it finally put 50 grand back in my pocket when I sold it. Here's the principle. I worked hard for 2 or 3 years to get to that one big high ticket sale, but in that 1 month, I made $300,000. So fancy we grasp high ticket. High ticket can take long. High ticket takes a while. High ticket is, big relationships. I've also sold $50,000 coaching programs. I sold $10,000 coaching programs. Show of hands, by the way, if you've paid me more than $10,000 on this call. Somebody on here has. There's a few of you. All right. Awesome. Show of hands paid more than $5,000. Somebody's paid me or Alchemist Station $5,000 or more. Show of hands. All right. All right. Yeah, there's a few of you. Okay. So that is a high ticket as well. Anything under, we'll call it $2,500 that ends up in that low ticket space. And it's really hard to make a lot of money with those lower ticket items. High ticket takes time. It takes depth of relationship. It takes depth of commitment. It takes a lot of resources. But you need high ticket. And I'm going to want each of you to write this down if you're a real estate investor. High ticket is the flip. High ticket is the syndication. High ticket is the capital raise. High ticket is the long-term sale of a business, like capital gains. Anything that is huge amounts can take you years to build those relationships, years to build those assets, years to acquire the skills. And then sometimes you can, like Ron and I made $180,000 in a 5-month period with a flip we did. It wasn't intended to be a flip. I want to be very clear. Ron and I have only flipped 3 buildings intentionally. The rest, all of our other flips were accidental. We just were in a market where things went up in value so much. We bought so good that the equity was better than the cash flow, so we sold them. We bought a convent. We bought a convent from a church. Now, fun fact, my business partner, Ron, is atheist. So it was a lot of fun for me to own a religious building and have a church right behind us and have a Mother Mary Jesus angel sitting in our front lawn. And we closed on this thing, bought it for 300,000. Dorina was our agent. So for everybody who says you can't buy on MLS, we bought an MLS. We bought a convent because it was a weird building. Nobody knew how to buy this thing. Nobody knew what to do with it. I'll be honest, we weren't 100% sure what we were going to do with it, but we thought maybe go sober house. And as we were going through the sober house process, we discovered it'd be a lot faster and cheaper to go rooming house. So for $150, we changed the usage from convent to rooming house. And then we put about $30,000 in renovations, just making the first floor look a little bit nicer. And we put it on the market for $480,000. Actually, we put it on the market for way less than that, and we sold it for $480,000. Show of hands if you understand, we made about $150,000 profit on that. This is a 5-month flip. Now, it wasn't intended to be a flip. I want to be very clear, we were going to hold this for the long term, but we didn't because we were going for high ticket, high volume sales. We were actually going to put 48 units in that and make a lot of cash flow off of it. We just couldn't find the right partner. We couldn't find a property manager who really wanted to manage a rooming house. All of our property managers are a little bougie. They like our higher quality stuff. They don't want to do this high maintenance. And so we ended up going with the high ticket sale instead. So if you understand why we made that decision, we weren't good operators in that space. It didn't make any sense for us to stay in it. But we did change the value simply by changing some paperwork. We changed the value, the entity structure of the property, and that increased its value by $150,000. We did some renovations, but we didn't have to do those. We did those renovations because we made some mistakes. We didn't waterproof the building. Now, here's a pro tip for you before we jump to the next one. We didn't waterproof the building, which means we didn't take all the water out of the pipes, and we had a sprinkler system burst in the middle of the winter. This is my worst part about investing in New England is cold weather. And sprinkler systems, if you are familiar with them, are in every room. They go through the entire building. It's not like a bathroom, burst. It's like one little line. Sprinkler systems go everywhere. So all the little fucking heads burst, boom, 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 all across the building. And we didn't know because it was a vacant building and there was a fuck ton of water. That is the legitimate amount of water. It was an F ton. And so we spent a lot of money fixing something that we didn't have to fix because we made a mistake. So show of hands if you learned a lesson. One, insure things. Two, put water out of buildings. No water in the pipes if you are in New England. A lesson he and I have learned many times. Many, many times. And the reason I share this is because you may learn these lessons many times as well. Now, knowing that high ticket is really important and really valuable, and that it takes a year, 2 years, 3 years sometimes to do these and close these. By the way, all the high ticket products I've ever sold, years in advance, I was building relationships with those people. Years in advance, I was working on those relationships. Years in advance, I was doing a lot of work to make sure that my status, that my product, that my company was in a position to make and do those deals. The high volume is very similar, but it can happen a little bit faster. And high volume is something we look at with rents. Like as a real estate investor, I look at the rents that we provide as high volume. At the peak, Ron and I had 100 units. Right now, he and I together have 15, and then I have a partnership with Darina and Greg that has another 35. And we're looking at another partnership that's looking to bring in another 100 out in Mississippi. That's volume. Like that's a lot of units that are just providing money into this. We also have subscription services. Alchemist Nation has a lot of different little streams that come in, little things like our sponsors that bring money in. That's high volume. Very small amounts. We don't charge our sponsors very much, and we provide tremendous value. But because there's so many of them, it actually adds to be a pretty decent stream of income for our community. So it allows us to reinvest and reinvest and reinvest. And the reason the high ticket is different from the high volume is you can start high volume pretty much today. You can get it started with a small, affordable product. It just takes a while before it becomes meaningful. So for sponsors, I'll give you an example. We make $200 a month from sponsorships. In order to get to $20,000 a month, which by the way, who would love their company doing $20,000 a month? It's awesome. It takes 100 sponsors, right? If you're the only person selling something, that could take you months. It could take you a whole year to sell 100 people on a product. But at the end of the year, you'd have $20,000 coming in. And so that's how we looked at the sponsorship. We said, okay, that's another stream. I want to talk about the secret stream, right? So show of hands if you have this in your business too. You know, you could sell something affordable. It's monthly subscription, rent. We use it in rent units. You can do it in subscription services. You can do it for if you're a gym. My brother owns a fitness facility. Actually, it's not even that. He calls it a education facility that's for kids to learn martial arts, learn Ninja Warrior, learn parkour. I always get in trouble when I call it a gym. So because it's a dojo, right? It's an education facility. In that, he sells memberships. He sells monthly memberships, and that is a high volume game. I think he has 180 something members. 180 something members paying just under $100. It pays a pretty strong sum. So by the way, let's give my brother Josh a round of applause. He's crushing it. He's helping more kids, more families. That's his mission, to give them the power to go and do things. So we're gonna do an exercise together. Now that we have multiple business models we've talked about, before I do this exercise with you, I want to point out a different stream that doesn't come with this principle. And this principle, by the way, is high ticket, high volume. These are both long-term games. There's something in the middle that pays you today. And I get this question all the time. How do I make money today though, Walter? Like I can't live off of those high volume. That takes forever to build that. And I can't wait 3 years to get a paycheck for the high ticket item. Show of hands if you have ever thought this before or know somebody in this predicament right now. There's something in the middle. There's service that you can provide today. There's midterm service that has a mid-level commitment to it and a long-term gain on the relationship. And if I look at products that we offer like that, one of them would be our mastermind. Our mastermind's $5,000 or $500 a month. And that's the sort of thing that I can sell today, instantly. I can bring a person to the mastermind, add instant value, jump on a one-on-one call. For realtors, you can provide a training or a coaching program, right? You can provide a trainer or coaching program that brings people in. I just posted on my Facebook page about my home buyer seminars I used to run back in 2018, back when I had a team of real estate agents. I just want to give them business. I used to charge people $97 to come into my home buyer seminar to be leads for my client, for my agents. Then I always looked at my 25 agents as my clients, right? Their clients were the people I was serving, I was bringing into the room, but my clients were actually my agents. So my team was my clients. And our goal was to just help these people buy real estate. So I would run these events and I had a sponsor. I'd have my mortgage broker and my attorney. They would sponsor my events. So I'd market it. And I charged the home buyers $97. I put, 17 people in the room. I made $1,700. So I put 20 people in the room, make 2 grand. So they weren't huge chunks of money, but if I did 2 or 3 of those a month, it was good. And the way I structured this, and I'm just pitch this to each one of you who's in this space. So if you know somebody in the insurance space, in the realtor space, mortgage broker space, you can share this knowledge with them. It's a really good pro tip. Homebuyer seminars can be run in different cities, and you can use different mortgage brokers and different attorneys to finance the marketing for those events. And this is what I did. I would run one in Taunton, I'd run one in New Bedford, I'd run one in Fall River, and I'd run one in Somerset. And I ran these 4 different homebuyer seminars with 4 different lenders and 4 different attorneys. And I do this every month, once a month, with that same attorney at their office. And I would teach the same exact thing, but we'd get different people in the room. Sometimes I'd have different banks sponsor me. I had Bank 5 sponsor me. We were in like literally Bank 5. And had their home. They brought all their clients and they sent an email out to all their clients who were like had money in the bank, so they knew who had money in the bank and who might be a good first-time home buyer. So there's a lot of different ways that we did it, and I just want to share that you can make money from serving today immediately. I had this conversation too. I'll give you one more. Show of hands if you like one more business model that you can make money today. Okay. Wholesalers. I got Dina on the call. I got Deborah on the call. These are wholesalers. They're also leaders in groups. So Deborah runs Fort Lauderdale for us, and Dina runs Orlando for us. And they're both wholesalers. And so wholesalers make your money on the close, right? When you close the deal. Show fans if you're familiar with how that works. They find a deal, they lock it down, they put an agreement, sell the contract, make the money when they close. Marketers make their money up front, right? Marketers charge you a marketing fee, $5,000. I'll market for you for a year. It's $500 a month, whatever. And then when you close on something, you make your money there. So marketing is the same skill set as wholesaling. Show of hands if you understand this. It's just a different way of monetizing the same exact skill set. Being a realtor, showing houses for free, I realized, and teaching people how to buy houses, I realized that was coaching. That was just a coaching business. And so I monetized my marketing. And I say this at the summit, you got to learn how to get your marketing to monetize. You get paid for your marketing. That'll allow you to have more marketing. That'll allow you to bring in more customers. So this principle today, I want to be very clear. High ticket items and high volume are different, and they're both long term. And if you're going to go after one, understand it's going to take a distraction away from the other. That each one have different systems, completely different systems, but you can streamline them so they work together. And that's how real estate has always worked for me and Ron. And I think your business has to do the same exact thing. We've never focused on single families. We always focused on multifamilies. We focused on high volume sales that converted over to high ticket items eventually. We focused on buying and acquiring as many doors as we could in a single shot. But when we went to sell that individual asset, it was a huge high ticket product. So if you can structure your business in a way where you're bringing in a lot of people at this small volume, at this higher volume, small ticket, but also have the ability to upsell them into something bigger, that's where your business can scale up in a tremendous way. As long as your small item also leads into the bigger item, can convert over into the bigger item. Show of hands, we grasp this. Awesome. And for anybody who's in the coaching space, I'll give you an example of how we do that. Here in the 52 Weeks of Wealth, this is a free program. I always lead into something else that's usually free or very, very affordable, like the Recession Proof Challenge, which is happening this Monday, which Billy and Doug and Gary and potentially Richie Decker will be helping us run so you can get more and more exposure to marketing strategies. Also, I'm going to do something free this week. This week, I'm going to run a webinar that Darina has recently begged me to do. It's called Why Business Needs a Tribe: How to Work with Investors and Turn Them into a Loyal Community that you can raise capital from and build deals off of and invest with. Show of hands if you'd be interested in that webinar. That's a free webinar. So that free webinar will eventually lead into a mentorship program. That mentorship program will probably be priced around $997, and it'll probably be the kick-ass best product you've ever bought in your life. By the way, full disclosure, you don't have to buy it. I don't care either way. The point is that when you buy into that product, I'm going to give you a ticket to the 100 Millionaire Summit. When you buy into that product, I'm going to have you for 8 weeks. During that process, I'm going to see if you're right for the mastermind. The mastermind's $5,000. During the mastermind, I'm going to see if I can get you to buy some real estate and find a deal too big for you. And then if you find a deal too big for you, I'm going to try to invest with you. So I'm going to get access to equity in that deal. Show of hands if you understand that could be a $50,000, $100,000 profit for me. So I got a model. You can do the same thing. You can build millionaires. You can help others get wealthy, and you get wealthy too. So that's high ticket, high volume, And somewhere in the middle, get paid for your marketing. Somewhere in the middle, get paid to qualify your customers. Somewhere in the middle, get paid to build the relationships that are inevitably going to be able to go in either one of those directions. Show fans if this is cool, if we do it morally, ethically, legally. We don't hide any of it. Full disclosure to everything. Awesome. I think that's the best way to do this. So the webinar will be why your business needs a tribe. It will be full of stats. I actually just did this for Elise Michaels. I did it for her Year of the Man Summit. And instead of calling it why your business needs a tribe, I called it why men need a tribe. So I have changed, I changed the word, one little thing. And it was wonderful for her group because she's a men's group. But for us, after I said did the whole talk, I was like, dude, like this is exactly why we make more money than everybody else in Alchemist Nation because we're relationship based, we're community based, we're tribe based, we're people based, right? Like that's why our business is so much fun and people keep coming back. That's why our business sends us so many referrals and people keep being successful is because we're focused on what this human nature, the positive sides to human nature, our community. Human nature does have negatives to it, but the positive sides of human nature are this desire to be around people and to be around good people who level us up. Show of hands if you feel that. If you can sense like you're just better when you're around good people. So I'm going to show you how to acquire good people, why you have to do it, and how to eliminate. There's a dangerous component to relationships that I think a lot of people are missing. I'll give you a pro tip. I'll share. Is it okay if I give a little bit of what's going to happen in the talk? Okay. It's free. I'm not going to charge anybody for this talk. This is totally free. And by the way, this is only the second time I'm doing the talk. So if I give you way too much information on the talk, I apologize. That's my nature when I haven't created all the slides that I want. I end to over deliver and give too much. So it'll probably be way more information than you need. But one of the things that I've noticed is that people have, we're the average five closest friends, but people allow enemies to stay in their mind for a long period of time. We think about them. What would they think about this if they saw this right now? Oh, I hate them so much. God, they make me so annoyed. And we have a limited amount of people that we can have in our brains at any time. And there are sometimes people in your brain for free, not paying rent, in fact, making your life worse. Anybody ever have one of those? Like an enemy you thought about like too much, way too much? So on the call, I will point out why that happens and how to fix it and how to replace them with assets, with real relationships that are more valuable, that are leading you in the direction you want to go, whether it's health, wealth, or relationships. I'm super excited about this talk. This is something that Dorina she's told me this is really what the community needs, and she's really in tune with everybody. So let's give Dorina a round of applause. She's paying attention to each of you. All right. Every week we have a book of the week. And the reason we do is because successful people, yeah, frenemy, exactly, Mitch. It's exactly that. Actually, it's different. Yeah, it's exactly that. Frenemies. Yeah. You're right. By the way, for everybody who's wearing an Alchemist Station shirt, let's give him a round of applause. I see Billy Reuters got his on, looking fantastic. Dorina's got the hoodie, looking sick. We got Eric Florney. Love it, brother. Looking sharp. The store is coming back. That is one of the things we did with the website. The store is coming back. We're working on renovating it, making it nice. So you have just a simple way of getting into it. I did notice there are no workout shirts on the store. So I have personally made the request to Dorina to make sure that there are shirts that reveal all of our shoulders. For those of you who got shoulder boulders, I want to make sure that you look great in the gym while repping the brand. And I'm looking at potentially a shirt. And I want you to vote in the chat if you like this. A shirt for networking that says "First to Smile Wins" with the Alchemist Nation logo just small underneath in the corner. So drop in the chat if you think that's a good idea. It'd be "First to Smile Wins." I know the person who runs that brand, and I asked if we could collab, and she would print them all out for us, and she said yes. So if that's the sort of shirt you think would help your marketing, drop the word "yes" in the chat. Or First to Smile Wins. Drop something in the chat so I know that that's something the community is interested in. It was just I know when I saw her wear it, I was like, yes, that's good. Like that, it made me smile, and then it made me come over and say, like, tell me about this. Like, what is going on? Like, who are you? Like, where'd you get that shirt? And it made me start having a conversation. We were at a networking event. I was an author of a book, and I was there with my brother. He's an author. I was there with Brian Kent. They're authors, and she was running this brand of First to Smile Wins, which I thought was just super, super clever. Book of the week. All right. Mitch Jorsky, I'm going to ask you to do the book of the week because this book is one that Michael Shine, one of the few that Michael Shine hasn't read, although he has a summary of it. But before we do that, Mike Shine, you're going to have to tell us what it is about this book that has made you avoid it. And for everybody who doesn't know Mike, Mike is the closing attorney. He's our holistic closer, our holistic attorney. He's the closer. and he's also the keeper of the books. He and I found I found the 52 Wealth Principles through a lot of research and study, but then he and I put 2 hours of time aside to identify which books went with each principle, because Ron has told me that every book really teaches one principle very, very well. Well, not every book, but the great books do. And so me and Mike sat down for 2 hours. And then we sat down for another 2 hours because we couldn't nail the whole thing down. We had like 26 principles nailed with 26 books, and we had like the finite details. We really had to figure out like which books were best. So Michael Shine, keeper of the books, let's give him a big round of applause.
Yeah. The reason this book is like 1,000 pages, it's and it's actually because Mitch Jaworski is such a good friend of mine, and he absolutely loves this book. Uh, the path of less resistance is when this one comes up to just say, "Hey, Mitch, can you take over and tell everybody why you love this book so much?" So that's where we went with that. So take
So
it away,
without
Mitch.
further ado, Mitch Jaworski, the Scaredy Cat Guide to Real Estate Investing, also one of the speakers at the summit. Let's give him a big round of applause. Go ahead. What is the book of the week, Mitch?
Principles, Ray Dalio. And yes, Mike, work smarter, not harder, right? That's what you have a team and a tribe for. Yeah, this thing has got some girth. I don't know you're going to read this one in a week, so if it takes more than a week, don't feel bad about it. This is actually three books in one, to be honest with you, and it has essentially three sections. So Ray Dalio is the former founder and head of Bridgewater Associates, which in the is either the top biggest hedge fund in the world or in the top three, given whatever year. Um, and essentially, this book is a mini bio to start, so you know where he's coming from. And then he talks about his life and work principles. And it's essentially an operating model, which is why it essentially looks like a textbook from like grade school. So basically, short bio, so to speak, and then he gets into life principles and work principles. The work is the majority of the book, but I love the life principles because he basically talks about um let me back up. He essentially takes this simplistic point of view, and this is from someone that is one of the greatest investors in history. So you think it would be super complicated and super next level, and it's not. It's super simplistic. And he goes through everything from his five step process in terms of making decisions, how to make decisions efficient and effectively. He talks about um, uh, radical open-mindedness, which is opposite of what you think when you think of the word radical. When you hear radical, you usually think of someone has a hard, firm beliefs about a certain thing, and that's the only way it can be, and there's no other option. And he goes the opposite way, and that's one of the reasons he's become such a awesome investor is because you need that flexibility, right? You need to be open-minded to, all right, what is it I'm not seeing? What am I missing? Like he would ask himself that question all the time, right? This is one of the best investors in the world. And he would still always ask himself, all right, what am I missing in this investment? And he would use, his team and his fellow investors to basically answer those questions. Like, tell me why I'm wrong, right? I love that about him. And it didn't like shake his confidence in his thesis, but he was just like, all right, if we can't find any reasons why I'm wrong, then we're definitely really, really right. And if we are wrong, it's like, all right, how do we mitigate those risks, right? And you can do that same thing in real estate investing, right? It's just like, all right, I'm going to buy X property. It's like, all right, what possibly could be issues with this deal? And it's like, all right, well, those aren't a big deal, or A, I can mitigate them by, doing X and Y. So, um, pretty cool at how simplistically deep this book is. And it's funny because Walter was talking about, tribe, and he's talking about the event on Wednesday, and he's sharing with you how he goes about things, and he's being very transparent about it. He's literally telling you, like, this is how I make money from XYZ, right? And he's speaking to his audience that are essentially his customers, right? That's very transparent. And um, one of the things about Bridgewater was that they had this radical transparency environment where um, everything was on the table. Like they would record meetings for review. They would essentially have everyone speak their mind, from subordinates to managers and above. And Some people didn't want to work there because they did not like being that honest. But again, pretty much the greatest hedge fund in history, so there's got to be something to it. Anyway, I can ramble for hours about this book and get into like, the minutia, but the reality is it is an operating model for your business and if not your life. And if every point isn't something that you relate to, that's fine because you will find at least a few items in here that are useful to you and can essentially operate your business better and possibly your life. So it is a brick, but get into it. It'll take a while, but that's okay. So, Principles, Ray Dalio, one of my favorite books ever.
Let's give Mitch Chorsky a round of applause. If you didn't notice, he's a little bit of a nerd when it comes to business and economics and how things work, how investing works. So that's one of the reasons that he's one of my advisors, somebody who I trust when it comes to looking at deals, underwriting, making sure that my investments make sense. You got to surround yourself with people who you trust, surround yourself with people who know better than you, and still trust and verify, right? Get the knowledge for yourself also. Understand how to evaluate the assets. One of the best things that I've gotten from Mitch and from all my advisors is not only do they teach me, not only like help me make a decision, they show me why that makes sense. They give me the fundamentals underneath that. And that's what Ray Dalio's book Principles does. And that's what, Mike Shine is, with law, with closing our deals, with and he's taught me a lot of stuff outside of law and outside of real estate. So surround yourself with people who not only will tell you what you can do, but also like why it works, how it works, what's going on behind the scenes. And I think that's what you get a lot in this community. We have a lot of really intelligent people here in Alchemist Station. So let's give everybody a round of applause. Somebody on this call is smarter than somebody else in something. I guarantee you, each one of you has something you've done very well. Every week we do actions. Every week we walk into the mind and we get something that will help you move forward a little bit faster. We know that we sell high ticket items. Show of hands if you have a high ticket item you could sell or want to have one. That could be, real estate flips, it could be a high ticket sale of your assets, or we also have high volume products. We could sell a whole bunch of high volume, a lot of a thing. Show of hands if you got those two, got access to high volume. Excellent. And you can build things in the middle. You can turn your marketing into something that you can monetize. And I want you to, as we're going through this process with Doug, I want you to think about that in your head. Like as you're going through this next process, if you're afraid of hypnosis or guided meditation, now's the time to log off. If you're driving, please drive safely. Do not close your eyes. Do not just drive safely, right? Like keep your eyes open and focus. You can come back and listen to these recordings later on. Before we go into Doug and give him the mic, I do want to point out that everybody who wants access to the webinar, it is free. I'm going to drop the link in the chat now. This webinar will be on Wednesday. So the webinar is Wednesday at 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. There is no charge, and anything I do offer, you do not have to buy. I want to be very, very clear. Everything we do in Alchemist Station is free. For those who cannot afford to get to any kind of deeper level, the free is perfectly fine for you. And stay there as long as you need to. Show of hands if we commit to not overspend, not get in trouble with things. I have talked to too many people over the years who spent $35,000 of coaching programs, $25,000 of coaching programs, and didn't get a return on investment for those coaching programs. And they came to Alchemist Station, found what they needed, leveraged what they needed to get to the next level, to buy houses. Like if you haven't found that investment, keep at it. Stay with us, keep grinding, keep doing what you're doing. Surround yourself with the community, ask people for help, get the support. Success is possible. We are in a tougher market than we have ever been, but we are now finding even easier ways to make even bigger amounts of money. But it takes hard work. It takes grinding. It takes consistency. It takes discipline. And I know Mike Shine hates it when I talk about hard work, but I want to be clear that not everybody has the abundance mindset that Mike has to be able to negotiate deals and just, put the money and slide the things. But I do want each one of you to get to that point. But until you get there, you have to grind. You have to talk to more people. You have to build more relationships. You have to get out there and be seen. Some of the grind is getting out of your head. Some of the grind is being willing to take some rejection. Some of the grind is being able to make other people uncomfortable for a time. Right? I've never had somebody I called out of the blue be like, "I'm so glad you called right away." Like I call out of blue, they're like, "Who is this? What do you want?" It's always like that. So you have to be a little okay with making people a little uncomfortable. Show of hands if I've ever said something in your presence that has made you a little uncomfortable. Something I guarantee you I've said something to each one of you that has made you say, "I don't fucking know." I must, right? I must because I'm human, right? Every one of us has different uniquenesses about us. So on some level, I can assure you I will offend you, and that's okay because that'll help us get to the next level of our relationship. Something that I heard from a person I really respect, one of my advisors, one of my mentors. He said to me that conflict means you're getting to a next level in a relationship. So when you have conflict with a person, it means you're going to a deeper level, or the relationship's going to end. But conflict is necessary for depth of relationship. So when you're contacting strangers, which everybody's a stranger at first, before they're friends, they're strangers. When you're contacting strangers and making them friends, when you're bringing them into your fold, you're creating the opportunity for them to get to know you at a deeper level. And there may be conflict, and that's okay. Show fans, if you're cool with that. All right. So, and by the way, I'm going to go into depth on how that works and what the process is for building friends to go past acquaintances, to go past friends, and to go into deep connections. We're going to talk about the timelines it takes, what conversations need to be had. That's all going to be Wednesday. So when I do the talk's name is, Doreen just gave me the name of this. So it's why your business needs a tribe, how to work with investors and turn them into a loyal community. Show fans if you'd love a community of investors around you, 100 millionaires inspired to invest in your deals. Would that be helpful? Awesome. Well, I'll show you how I do it and how we're doing it in your local groups. We're going to show you on that webinar Wednesday. The link is in the chat. I will drop it one more time. And if you notice, that link is a little longer and different from the link Darina dropped. This is a pro tip as a marketer. That is a custom tracking link. So I can see how many people connected from this call. And I'm just sharing this with you because you're all business owners and you need to be able to track where customers come from, where clients come from. So that's a custom tracking link. You can get that right there in Zoom. And all you do is go to the bottom of the webinar feature and just add custom. So what it will tell me later is everybody who clicks that particular link came from this call. So if I have ads later on, a month from now or a week from now, running to that call, I'll use a different tracking link so I can see where my marketing spend is going. And I share this because Roland Charles was on the call earlier and we were talking about marketing. Like, how do I know if I'm getting a good return? How do I know if my budget's making sense? Show hands, that's a helpful tip. If you run webinars, that's a really helpful tip. It's helped us a lot track our ad spend. Awesome. With that being said, Doug McGurk traveled with Tony Robbins for 3 years. He coached Tony Robbins' clients for 3 years. He talked to real estate investors and agents all across the country, teaching them the principles that Tony Robbins teaches and helping them get into UPW. He is a master NLP practitioner. He is a certified hypnotist, and he is a maximizer of the mind. He's helped business owners level up. He also talks to high-level corporations and trains their teams in sales, in mind development, and improvement in success strategies. And the reason Doug is working with us today is because he wants to build 100 millionaires who are inspired to build 100 millionaires. So he's been with us for 5 years. Let's give Doug McGurk a big round of applause for all of the love and all of the care he's given this community, all the hypnosis scripts and all the trainings developed to us. Without further ado, Doug, take us into a session.
Thank you. Let's give Walter some love. Come on. And by the way, I don't know if you picked up the passion Mitch has for principles is completely in line. What he was sharing and his energy is on brand. Scaredy Cat Guide. He's all about making sure that it's the right decision and that, asking those questions. And man, you could not have a better person in your corner to morally, ethically, legally, and heart-centered look at deals, look at opportunities, because he's the real deal. And love that guy. I don't care what you say about him. So with that being said, if you're driving, Gary, eyes on the road, don't close your eyes. And for the rest of you, don't operate any heavy machinery while we do this. So if you just go ahead and let me know if you're hearing this music.
And Doug, before we start, let me just share. There's about 30 new people on here who came from Facebook ads. So let's give them a big round of applause.
Yes.
If this is your first time and anything that we do makes you a little uncomfortable, but you stick around, God bless you. Welcome to the tribe.
Well,
and if you're
yes,
if you're like, wow, this is an uncomfortable group, and you log off, God bless you too.
Well, amen. And what's interesting, what you shared about conflict. Man, conflict is the best opportunity for growth. So if you're conflicted about maybe doing some closed eye meditation, some hypnotic work, well, this is a great opportunity to break through, to be even more open to what is possible, because the only thing stopping us is us, isn't it? So why don't you go ahead and take a nice, big, deep cleansing breath in and relax. And go ahead, take another big, deep cleansing breath in and roll your eyes up to the back of your head till you feel a little strain. And relax, relaxing your body, relaxing your mind, and allow all of the thoughts of the day to just fall away, to be even more open. That's right. I wonder if you could imagine you're at the dawn of a grand market, an ancient bazaar filled with the richest tapestries and the most exquisite jewels. And each stall and each merchant represents a facet of your potential, a possibility for success in selling and offering high-ticket items or achieving high-volume sales. Or perhaps even both. So visualize yourself as a master artisan. As a matter of fact, a very good friend of mine refers to himself as a real estate artist. And your product, a masterpiece that draws the crowd's attention, not by its loudness or crazy boldness, but by its intrinsic value. It shines amidst the ordinary, much like the way a lighthouse guides ships safely to shore. And with every breath you take in now, connect even more to your higher power, to God, Mother Nature, divine principle, and say these affirmations either aloud or in your head. I am confident and skilled in presenting the true value of my high-ticket opportunities. My clients recognize and appreciate the unparalleled quality and investment in my offerings. Each conversation I have is an opportunity to provide immense value, leading to substantial rewards. And then, wonder if you could ask these questions, these affirmations, and answer them. Why do I find it so natural to connect with clients who value and seek out high-quality opportunities? How do I effortlessly communicate the worth and benefits of my high-ticket items? What makes me so effective in attracting and closing high-value sales? Now, shift your perspective to the energy of a bustling marketplace where your products are exchanged rapidly, moving from your hands to those of eager customers. Like a wellspring, your booth never empties. Instead, it overflows, providing for all who approach. So as you continue this depth of connection to your higher power, to God, repeat these affirmations aloud or to yourself. I excel in high volume sales, understanding the rhythm and flow of the market. My actions are aligned with the principles of abundance, inviting a constant stream of transactions. I am adept at creating offers that resonate with a wide audience, ensuring a rapid exchange. And then I wonder if you can answer these questions. Why is it that my sales process is so efficient and effective, leading to high volume success? How can I continue to optimize my approach to attract a steady flow of customers? What strategies will I implement today to boost my sales volume and reach my targets? And as you continue to stay open, your other than conscious mind is ready to embrace the mindset of abundance, seeing each interaction as a seed for multiple future sales. As you cultivate relationships with each transaction, building a foundation for recurring business, and you align your vision with your actions, ensuring that your high ticket or high volume sales goals are met with precision, elegance, and grace. Now envision the desert, vast and open, symbolizing the endless opportunities before you. Just as travelers across the desert find oases, so too will your clients discover the value in what you offer. Whether it's the rarity of a high-ticket item or the abundant supply of your high-volume sales. Carry this image with you, a symbol of resilience, abundance, and success in your sales journey. And as you come on back, allowing your eyes to open, feeling even more inspired, empowered, and highly favored. Welcome back.
And as you come back, if you are new, let me give you something for free. And if you are going through an experience with us right now, and this is something that you've gained something on, then take a moment to write down whatever just came to your mind. If an idea came to you, if a product came to you, if a different process or way of going about your business came into your mind as you were going through that process with Doug, now's the time to write it down, because that's how the subconscious mind works. You'll get these great, wonderful ideas, moments of clarity, moments of depth of awareness. And then the subconscious mind's going to say, I can remember that. No big deal. It was so impactful, so important. I'll remember it. And then it just lets you forget it away. And then later on, you try to find that idea and it's gone. It's completely gone. You feel those moments of regret. This is the time to write it down. And the moment you have the idea and the moment you're inspired, write it down so you can have it later when you need it. One more time for those of you who are not writing, let's give Doug a big round of applause. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful session. I know as I was going through it, I felt even more depth of truth around I have the greatest products. I over deliver on everything I sell. On every person who I've ever had impact on or connected with, I had a positive impact on. So, Doug, I felt it and I see it in Alchemist Nation. We continue to develop and deliver. For each of you who are new, these 52 wealth principles were originally for me. They were not designed to be shared. They were not designed to be given out. It was only something that came from teaching and coaching for free from my other business. I was an agent looking for investors. It was only when I shared the work I was doing for my own personal business that people said, hey, could you do that with us? Would you go through that process with us as well? And we've been doing this now for 5 years. So everybody who's been with us, let's give all of our OGs, the people who've been here for 5 years, big round of applause. 5 years in the making. All right, it's our 5th year, our 5th season of the 52 Weeks to Wealth, the 5th season of Building Millionaires. We've built over 30 millionaires in the last 4 years. And in year 5, we're looking to close the gap on 100. The way we do it, though, it takes 3 to 5 years. So everybody who's brand new, I'm going to give you some free stuff so you can get access, get started. It will not cost you anything. If you spend money in Alchemist Nation, it's because you wanted something extra, some additional speed to the process. But every year we take the cost of something down. We drop the cost of something. We remove the cost of something. That's our continuous mission, is to make this more affordable and more free to more people. Show fans if you understand why we do it, or at least you love that we do it. If you don't understand why we do it, it's because we want to have a bigger impact. So in the beginning, it does cost us money and time to build out new assets. But once we've built them, if we build them right, it doesn't cost us anything to maintain them. And so we're able to shift that over to free. Show fans, that's different from other people, other communities, other companies. Yes, we know it seems like they charge more. It seems like they charge more the more they build. So our goal is to be different from everybody else because we have a very different goal in this community. Our goal truly is financial freedom for all. That is what we're looking for. We want to create financial freedom for all. We do it through building millionaires. That is the first step. We help you become a millionaire so that you can then take your money and passively invest into assets that pay for you to live the life that you live. And the reason we do it is because it's really important that people start paying attention to each other, start paying attention to the bigger problems on the planet, start paying attention to the real problems in their families, and start working on their mindsets, all the little things that we put aside because we have to make money. Show of hands if you know the stuff I'm talking about. Those really important things that we keep putting aside. That's why we do what we do. And we do it through people like you, people who have good businesses, good mindset, who are willing to invest, improve other communities, improve your own communities. I love providing clean, safe housing to my tenants, and I want you to fall in love with doing that as well. I love serving people in the wealth factor. I love helping people buy real estate. I hope you do that as well. That being said, free resource. Go to alchemistnation.com. I'll drop the link in the chat. You can get there. When you get there, you're going to see 3 steps. And for everybody who was on the call earlier this morning, you already know where I'm going with this. These 3 steps are how we build millionaires. This is our millionaire building process. So you get here, you see 3 steps to financial freedom. Step 1, discover your millionaire path. It is impossible to go somewhere if you don't know where you're going. They say if a ship leaves the harbor and it has no goal, then the ship will eventually become a derelict. Eventually either sink or it will jam itself across the shore. But if a ship has a good captain, knows where it's going, then the ship can eventually get to its destination. So first, discover your path. This is a Millionaire Path report. This comes out after 6 questions. The report is not AI driven. It is systematic. It is from 500 coaching calls that I did. I wrote down the results that people were getting, and that's how I created this Millionaire Path report. Each one is unique to you. There are about 400 different options that can come out of it. So your option will be right for you. Take that, bring it to your coach, bring it to your realtor, bring it to your mortgage broker, bring it to your financial planner. Tell them, this is what I'm doing. Help me do it. Show of hands if you understand. You can't do it alone, but with a good plan, you can get somewhere. Awesome. Step 2, you're already here. 52 weeks to wealth. Keep coming for the full year. We will increase your income. We will double your net worth. Here's the only caveat to that. You must do the action steps that we give you every single week. Show of hands if you understand. If you take the right actions, you'll get the right results. Awesome. So that's a guarantee. If you do what we're telling you to do every single week to the degree that we tell you to do it, your income will increase by double factors on both income and in net worth. And then step 3 is find your local meetup. There are Alchemist Nation events all across the country. We currently have 28 that are running. If you are in an area or market that doesn't have an event, please let us know, and we will help you create one in your market. We'll make sure that there is one out there very soon. Those are the 3 steps. If you are in a market that doesn't have an event and you'd like to sponsor one of our events, click the sponsor button and we'll jump on a call. Just because you clicked on it doesn't mean you're guaranteed to be a sponsor. We do have an application process. We do require that everybody does everything morally, ethically, and legally. Show of hands if that's okay, if we have a process to make sure our millionaires are being built properly and from an authentic place. Awesome. So for everybody who's out there in the attendees area, you're going to come into the main room now. Ron, Dorina, let's bring them in. This is the Q&A session. It's my favorite part of the day. So this is where we can ask questions and things that are on your mind. Anything about real estate, anything about business. And I saw Richie Decker dropped in the chat. He said the one thing that he came today for was that tip about the mindset tip about those people who are negative in your head, just removing them. Let's give Richie Decker a round of applause. He runs our event in Lakeland. He's a mindset coach, business coach. Wonderful, wonderful job out there. First to unmute the microphone wins.
I got one.
Man, let's give Derwin a round of applause. He's so fast on the trigger. I love that.
Yeah, so I had a question kind of regarding sales since we're, I guess, talking about high ticket offers. So like, obviously you're not going to sell somebody on the first call. Like that would be kind of a little wrong, I feel. So like what kind of questions would you ask someone initially to like pre-qualify them towards your offer? Like what kind of like, I guess, standard questions would you ask them?
You know what? I'm going to let either Doug or Billy Reuter take that. They both have trained sales teams all across the country. If you want to go Doug and then Billy in that
Yeah.
order.
So, Thurman, could repeat the question specifically?
Sure. So, what questions would you like ask someone like the first time you meet them to like kind of pre-qualify them for your offer, like later on?
Well, first find out as you're asking them, like, what are their goals? Like, what are they looking to accomplish? Right? Because ultimately, and then why? So the deeper understanding you have of what their goals are and why that's important to them, the easier you'll be able to kind of navigate helping them figure out how you can, because you want them to go, oh, I want you to help me. So by asking them the questions that lead them to what and why, then you will be able to show that you have the answer. And then they'll ask you for that solution, right? You want them to go, like, you don't want to be pressuring people into what you have to offer. You want them going, hey, this is, oh my gosh, like, if you, I got to find out more now. The other thing is, it's a dance, right? So the higher the ticket, usually the longer the relationship before taking, the sales cycle is usually a little bit longer depending on the product or service, right? I mean, if someone's looking for a property, they got the money, they're ready to go. But if it's something where it's more of a service, if it's coaching, or if it's something that is not a need now, we want to get them to go, no, wait, I do need this right now. I can't put this off. So that's a high level, quick answer. I'm sure Billy will have some powerful suggestions as well.
Doug, you're awesome, brother. I love you. Yeah, thank you for excuse me, thank you for the question. And I have something that I really feel will be of value. And I'll lead with a very fast quote that comes from Jim Rohn, right? And it's, you get paid for the value that you bring to the marketplace. So no matter what our offer is, I think it's important that we don't create our offer from a personal bias. Like, is it valuable for our client or prospect? And once we nail that in, and that's why the recession proof challenge, if you're not on it, get on it, because it will absolutely take your wisdom, articulate an offer, create a message around this exact subject. But to answer the question, what I found very useful is to take the prospect in a time machine, because what a personal belief of mine, I'm sure we could all relate, that when you're in alignment and your routine is in flow, time is your biggest friend, right? If business is flowing, 6 more months of that is awesome. You're just going to build a bigger business. You're going to be happier. If your marriage is awesome, you're going to have a better marriage. However, when you're not in alignment, time is your biggest enemy. So when you're speaking to someone of a high value, you take them on a journey and literally have this conversation like, well, if we don't fix this problem, if we don't work together, if you're not going to be a coaching client, or if you're not going to work with me in investment, right? I'm talking about all of you. What does the next 6 months look like, right? Like, if nothing changes today, what's going to happen in 6 months or 3 months, whatever your time frame is? And it puts the student, it's not manipulative, by the way, this is influencing them and leading them to a better decision for them, right? You're adding tremendous value. You're saving them a ton of emotional pain, uncertainty, financial loss by working with you. So understanding that you, every single one on this call, you're a value adder. And when someone works with you in any capacity, no matter what your business model is, you're serving people at the highest level. It's all about value. So yes, they might be investing money in you, but what they're getting in return, it's 10x. So when you have that understanding, that state of mind, and you bring them through a journey, and I'm sorry, I'm going to make this quick, but you bring them through that journey of, if you don't take this action today, no pressure, but what does the next 90 days of your life look like? Right? Put them in the future mind so they can feel the emotion. They can say, well, I'm not going to have the money. I'm not going to build the business, or my marriage is going to crumble, or I'm going to be 30 pounds heavier, or whatever the case is. Getting them in that future state without you anchors in a position where they understand that a decision has to be made and you're providing the authority. So hopefully the decision to be made is working with one of you. I hope that answers the question. Love you all.
Thank you.
Let's give Doug and Billy a round of applause, and Thurman James a round of applause. A wonderful question for those of you in sales. And if you haven't been contacted by Thurman, Dina, Deborah, or Antonio, there's a good chance that they will reach out to you at some point over the next couple of weeks. We're checking in with the community, making sure we know where everybody's goals are and where we're doing. Like, how are we doing? Are we hitting our targets or not? And it's really important for us to know that about you. By the way, I'll answer that question as well, Thurman. Is it all right if I throw in how I sell? And I am pretty good at selling, right? I've
Absolutely.
sold over $1 million worth of just coaching products in the last 4 years. And I think that's, a big deal, but I've sold millions of dollars in real estate through this one type of conversation. I call it diagnostic selling. And when I sit down with a person, all I'm doing is asking questions. I just want to know if that person has problems and if the problems they have are in alignment with the solutions that I have. And so that first call to me is just, it's like going to the doctors. Like, it's like, hey, do you have any pain? And if, the person says no, I'm like, okay, we'll see. Because here's a problem, and this is why I'm so good at selling this. So I want each of you to hear. My grandfather, when he went to the hospital, when he went to the doctors, the first thing the doctor asked him, do you have any pain? He'd say, no, no pain. My grandfather had pain for the last decade in his back, lower back. Could barely walk, could barely put his shoes on. But every time he went to the doctor, he'd tell the doctor, no, no pain. No, no pain. Then he changed doctors. He went to one doctor, and this doctor went and started touching his back. He started touching his spine. My grandfather, oh. And that's how we discovered that my grandfather had tight hips and needed to have a hip replacement. And after that, he was able to walk again. After that, he had flexibility again. After that, he was in a better position. He had physical therapy. He got into a much better state in his life because one doctor was willing to not listen to him, but really listen to him. Like, not just hear his words, but to go deeper and actually ask the questions that need to be asked and actually physically, manipulate his body to find if there was actual pain. Now, I'm not saying, manipulate your customers' bodies. I'm not saying touch everybody, but you do have to touch some emotions. You do have to go in there and like ask questions that are relevant to actually get the truth out of a person. And I tell everybody who's ever been on a call with me, I'm going to ask you some personal questions. My first warning to you is like, I'm going to ask you some personal questions. My goal is not to sell you. My goal is to identify if you're worth selling to. My goal is to identify if I'm worthy of your time. And if I'm not, you and I just won't be on a call again. If there's no reason for us to, if I can't add value, we won't be in a deeper relationship. Is that fair how diagnostic selling works? So I'm always disqualifying clients, right? I'm not trying to sell. I'm always looking to get rid of people who I can't help and pass them along to somebody else. I don't want to distract anybody from their purpose in life. I don't want to distract anybody from their mission. I want anybody who's with me to be on the same, somebody I can add value to. So it's I think the biggest problem with sales, and we talk about this in the RPC that Billy mentioned, the recession proof challenge, is that too many people try to sell everybody. I am more of the belief system that 1/3 will want what you've got, 1/3 will love you no matter what, 1/3 will hate you no matter what, and 1/3 are going to not care about your product no matter what. So it's not about reaching out to 100 people and think I'm going to close 100 people. It's reaching out to 100 people and looking for the 33 I can close, the 33 I can serve, the 33 that I know I can actually build a relationship with. And if my product, and this is going back to this principle, if my product can't get me rich off of 33 relationships, then I don't have the right product for me and my financial goals. And so I have to change and improve my skills, improve my knowledge, improve my relationships. I have to get a product that can make that money off of 30 relationships. Does that make sense? And that also goes to Dunbar's number, which I'll talk about on Wednesday. In that call, and I'll explain why 30 is actually such a pivotal number for your business, why it's so imperative that you understand that you can only work with 30 people because you got a lot of relationships that need to be family, that need to be friends, that need to be recharging you. They can't all be make money relationships. Some of them need to be quality of life relationships. They need to be, some of them are just family. Some of them are just there because it's responsibility to have them there, right? We can't remove everybody. They have a limit. Awesome. Let's get another question or another share. And by the way, I love answering these. For everybody who's here for the first time, thank you. Go to alchemiststation.com, get all your free stuff. And for everybody who's been with us for a long time, this is your chance to unmute the mic. I'll answer any questions. I do have a meeting with the team right after this, so I will aim to be on here as long as I can for all the millionaires and all the coaches who want to stick around with us. Awesome. Thank you. Your feedback is really involved and helpful. And I will pitch something before the next question. Let me pitch something to you. I was thinking about doing a networking session with Alchemist Nation. I was thinking about the value of breakout rooms the way we do in the mastermind and the way we do in the mentorship, where we break out into rooms of like 4 and 5 people just to kind of introduce each other and connect with each other. Show of hands, that'd be valuable if we did that on the Saturday calls. If we did that like right after this session, we jumped into a room like that. Okay. I see a lot of hands. Perfect. I don't know how to do it today, but I will be working on being able to do it by next week. Is that okay? If we work on how we could get that done? My thought, because I can't do it in this type of room, this is a webinar, and this is the only way I can drive traffic. I can't promote ads to a normal meeting because you never know who's going to be on there. But a webinar I can promote ads to. So it may have to be another room. I may have to have a separate room that's just a meeting room because that I can do breakout rooms in. Would that be all right if I did something like that? Okay, we'll work on it this week. We'll figure out how to do it. Let's give Eric Florney a round of applause. He's jumping off. Everybody's jumping off. I love you. Go and post something on Facebook that is positive today. If you can, put your beautiful face out there with a smile, please do. There's nothing wrong with a selfie, but it's even better if it's a groupie. If you got your family next to you, if you got friends next to you, please post a smiling picture and just speak something nice about somebody as you're posting. So I know Eric will do it. He's great with the reels, great with the posts. So let's give everybody on the call who's making a little social media out there, a little positive feedback, a round of applause. Awesome. Thank you. And we'll take a couple more questions. Go ahead, Dorina. I know you have one queued up at all times.
Sure. Well, my question is related to real estate. We all watch podcasts about recession and what's going on with unemployment rate, with inflation rate. We come across different opinions. But in times of recession, say we are actually going to be hitting that in 2024, maybe slight recession. How do you go about decision of flipping a house, or because that's a high ticket item, or sticking to the rentals because if you have like 100 units, then you have like incremental high volume sale, and how do you make that decision to be sure you are calculating all the risks of the upcoming recession in your real estate strategy? I guess that's the question, because I see people doing flips all over the place and I'm very scared for them.
Yeah, I love that. Fortunately, Mitch is probably the right person to answer this because he's doing both flips and long-term holds at the same time, and he evaluates everything from that kind of perspective of what if, because he's a scaredy cat guy. He's always looking at what if the market drops tomorrow? What if I can't sell it? Mitch Jorsky, would you mind? What advice would you give somebody right now who's concerned, like, should I flip or should I go for more of a buy and hold strategy? What advice would you give to the average investor who's getting started? Maybe for the first time, doesn't have the experience that you have, or is experienced and just the game is changing. What advice would you give somebody?
Buy right.
Buy right.
I mean, obviously, there's a lot that goes behind those two words, but I mean, that's really the answer, buy right. And if you know how to do that, as Walter mentioned, Scared to Get Guide to Real Estate Investing, shameless plug. Dropping the book in the chat. Yeah, I mean, really at the end, no one is doing anything different than they were. They're just doing it more conservatively. So at the beginning of the year, I had a dinner with a couple of successful business owners. I know one is a successful flipper in the Treasure Coast in Florida. She's been flipping for like 5 or 6 years now. I call her the Queen of Palm Bay because she basically crushes it there. And then another friend that he's a stock trader and runs day trading communities. But we talked about what the economy is going to look like this year and what we're doing business wise, and we talked about especially real estate. And she talked about what the late part of 2023 looked like, and how she did have some flips that were sitting. She did have a couple flips that she basically broke even on. She had one flip where, you know, she made no money because she made sure her investors were whole, which is the smartest thing to do, because if you want your investors to continue to invest with you, you don't want to lose them money. So it was fine
Rule
because
number one to raising capital: never lose an investor's money.
exactly. So, well, and like the Warren Buffett rule goes, right? Rule number one, don't lose money. Rule number two, see rule number one. And that's important too, especially when it comes to, like, any investing, but especially when you talk about stocks, because I mean, whatever you lose, well, you have to make twice that to get back to even in terms of percentage returns. But yeah, the principles never change. Total not play on words, but yes, principles never change. It's just a matter of your level of risk tolerance. So there's a time when your foot should be on the gas, and there's a time where you should maybe shift down a gear and just cruise at the speed limit, right? So is now the time to go balls to the wall? Maybe not, because you don't have as much buffer. So it's always that dance of how aggressive to be, how conservative to be, right? But at the end of the day, it goes back to buy right. So if you're buying properties to hold as long-term rentals, that's the what I call the cheat code, because if it cash flows, then you really don't need to worry about what the market's doing. You don't, because you plan on holding that property, what, 10, 15, 20 years? You're going to go through 2, 3 market cycles, right? So what does it really matter if it cash flows? As far as flipping, everyone's adding a bigger margin. So let's just say they were buying at 70 percent ARV. Now they're trying to buy at 60. Like
Now
every
I got to stop you because there's some newbies on the call. So 70% ARV, what he's saying is after repair value. So when you sell the property, if the after repair value, the maximum you could ever get for this property is $400,000, then 70% of that would be the minus 120, so it'd be $280,000. That would be the price after renovations. So if you had to put 50,000 to get it to that point, you'd purchase the property at $230,000, put 50 into it, and so you'd be purchasing it all in at 280. So because the ARV, what you could sell it for after repair value, is $400,000. Carry on.
correct. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because also one of the things we're seeing right now is we're seeing a shift, because with interest rates being higher, right? It's not only impacting flips, but more so rentals, where something that might have cash flowed sufficiently at a 5% interest rate is not cash flowing sufficiently at 7.5, 7.75 interest rate. And because of that, now the price of that home is quote unquote too high, right? And people still want those same prices. This is the push and pull we're seeing in the market right now. We're seeing that readjustment where sellers still want, like, the initial post-COVID prices, and those don't exist anymore. And buyers are trying to buy at the new prices. And there's this tug of war. And I've been dealing with it a lot. I've been doing a lot of off-market lead generation so far this year. And I'm talking to sellers, and some of them want prices that are just not, like, they're still sitting, like they think it's 2021. And it's just like, guys, it's now into 24. Like, we need to get realistic here. Interest rates are higher. Prices don't automatically just go up every single day. So that's why I think everyone is struggling and frustrated and worried, because we're in a transition period right now where buyers and sellers are not meeting in reality. And I think it's going to take some time to get there. Who knows? Sometime this year. But anyway, I digress. It goes back to make sure you cash flow and give yourself a bigger spread on splits, on flips. So you're buying rentals, just make sure the damn thing cash flows. That hasn't changed. It's all the same. Like, that's never changed. Make sure it cash flows. If it cash flows from day one, you're not going to lose. And then with the flips, just give yourself a bigger margin, because there's a chance that that property might sell for less than you think. right? Because you are seeing prices actually drop in some markets. And also you want to make sure that you people are getting saved by prices always going up. So if you went in with a 70K rental budget and spent 100, you still made money because the price of that property went up while you were working on it, right? Is that something you want to rely on in the current market right now? Probably not, right? And I say this even with the firm belief that we still have a supply issue. This is why I'm not bearish on the real estate market, because we have a supply issue. There is like literally a housing crisis in some states. Like the state of Massachusetts, evicting someone is almost impossible because like my eviction attorney literally tells me, he's like, they are doing anything they can to keep people in their homes because there's nowhere to go. And that's good. You don't want people homeless, but at the same time, you don't get stuck with really bad tenants. But I use that as an example to show you, like, there is a supply issue in most of the country. Now, I will leave you with this. Know your market, because every market's different. You have the nationwide market, but then you have your individual markets. And case in point, South Florida is a completely different world compared to Ohio. So know your market. Whatever your local market is, know your market, because there are specific things to that market that are very different than a market that might be in another state and even another town. So know your market, know your local market. That's the most important thing about real estate, which is why that saying location, 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 AKA know your market. So anyway,
I want to come back and close this out with so what Mitch was talking about with 70% ARV, we're putting a lot of padding on our flips, and now a lot of investors are purchasing at a 65% ARV and a 60% ARV. So that same exact property they would have purchased and been all in at 280, they're now aiming to be all in at 240, 260 to make sure that they can hold the property. If something goes wrong, if they can flip it at a lower percentage, 5 to 10% lower, if something goes wrong, assuming the ARV might be a little off. So they're not trusting ARV quite as much because the market does drop 10 to 15% in 6-month periods very quickly. And at the peak, the market dropped a 15 to 20% across the country nationally. But in Florida and Las Vegas, it dropped 70%. We don't know what the future holds, but we do know that those two markets traditionally drop more significantly than the rest of the country. And so for the people who are investing heavily in those two markets, just be cautious. I live in one of them because it's awesome to live here. And I've lived in both cities. I've lived in Las Vegas. I live in Florida. But I want to warn you, when you invest in these markets, you have to be more cautious. And like Mitch said, that perfect example. I know Roland Charles wants to deliver some knowledge on that as well as a property manager who's very good at helping people cash flow. And before we do that, I want to give you a very tactical approach on how this works. There are other strategies other than just long-term rentals. Right now, we're investing in residential assisted living. I know Vinny is investing in ASLs, as assisted senior livings. He's investing in memory care. He's investing in hospitality, hotels. I know Ken Ingram just locked down a hotel that he's buying. And there's a lot of different ways to invest. Rooming houses are doing wonderful. Rooming houses are a lot of work. Sober houses are doing wonderful. They're a lot of work, but these are markets these are products, services that will continue to increase in demand as we have this supply issue across the country. So if you have ever heard the concept of adding value to the market, that's what it means. It means chop up the building, adjust the utility. In fact, I shared this with you today. I converted a convent into a rooming house. And I instantly increased the value of that building because I was able to bring more value to the marketplace, put more beds more supply onto the market. And that's a strategy you can still do today. You can buy single family homes with 5, 10 bedrooms and convert them to residential assisted livings, making $5,000 per door, per bedroom. So there are strategies that cash flow very, very well. And I have a feeling Roland Charles will talk about another one of those. Go ahead, Roland.
And so I actually had a question.
Oh, cool.
Because you're talking about multiple rooms and assisted living and shared housing and things like that. And so I said earlier that I had a property that I'm purchasing, which is I already purchased that, right? But there are 2 pad splits right now that are on the market for reasonable price, 8 and 9 bedrooms. And I'm having a challenge finding a joint venture partner that is willing to put down the 30%, because it's selling for about 340. What would you recommend in terms of identifying a partner that would be willing to put down 30% down payment, so that we can get this deal close. Because I can get the financing on the other end. I just need the 30% for the down payment.
That's a perfect question. And for anybody who has that question, show of hands, if that's the sort of predicament you'd like to be in. You'd like to be in that problem. I have a good deal, and now I'm looking for the financing to acquire another good deal. Awesome. So we are going to go deeper into that on Wednesday. So Wednesday's call is designed around capital raising, around how to bring people into your community, how to bring investors into your community, and so you can build relationships so they can trust you to do deals like that. And we're going to be using exactly the strategies that Doreen and I have used to raise millions of dollars of capital, that Ron and I have used to raise millions of dollars of capital from friends, right? But they were strangers when we started. So I'm very clear, every friend I've ever invested with and invested with me has been a stranger when we started. My family never invested with me. My friends never invested with me. I just had to create friends. So we will go into that really, really deeply on Wednesday. So if capital raising is important to you, be there. The link is in the chat. Doreen can drop it again. Doreen, please drop the tracking link I dropped so that it's the 2 weeks to wealth tracking link. And Roland, I will give you a quicker pro tip. Anybody who has ever invested with you in the past, and by I don't mean invested in your deals, I mean somebody who is a client of yours right now. They've invested in your business by paying you monthly because of a service you've provided, where you've proven that you're a very good service provider. Those are people who are most likely to trust you because you've always delivered on your promises with them, and they have been financial transactions. So they trust you with their money to give you money every single month. So that, to me, as a service provider like you are, doing a wonderful job of property management, those relationships are your best relationships. And because they're investors in real estate, which is what I teach everybody, hang out with real estate investors, they have capital to pay you. They have capital to invest, and they understand the business, and they understand the model, and they trust you. So that would be the first place I would start.
I think that is a great suggestion. I never thought to talk to an existing client. So that is definitely a great advice. Thank you. And I'm sure other people got value from that as well.
Awesome. Let's give Roland Charles a round of applause. And the reason I say that to Roland is I know his business. He's a very, very good property manager. He cares about people. He's very authentic in everything that he does. And this is also what's worked for me. All the people who've invested with me were clients of mine on some capacity. Anybody who's ever invested, whether I was teaching them, whether I was their real estate agent, or I was the partner who sent them a lot of referrals, it was always been relationships where I had already proven my ability to be a good person in a transaction. So I just want you to think, like, as you're raising capital, the better your business does, it's also easier to raise capital by just being better at your business, which we will talk again about that on Wednesday to give you that skill set. And there was another one who I wanted to share that. Yeah, free resources. Go to Alchemist Nation, free resources. We're going to be pimping out that website, giving more free stuff. We're converting a lot from the Gualter Morello site over to Alchemist Nation. We are looking for some millionaires to interview, multimillionaires. We're going to be going back through millionaires who we've built, the 30 millionaires that we built. Me and Mitch are taking over the podcast. Me and Mitch are really going to be asking some really pointed questions as we're interviewing people. We want the stories of how they started, how they got, how they got to that first million, like how they found the first 100,000, like how they got the confidence to do their first deal, and then what deals they're doing now. But really, like, how did you start? Like, how did you get the capital? How did you get the deal itself? And knowing that the market is changing, we're going to be asking again how the deals are going today. Like, what deals are you doing now? Like, where are you going and investing so that we can get that relevant information that's really relevant to the marketplace right now. That is the Alchemist Nation podcast. You can find it on iTunes. You can get it on Spotify, and you can go to community.alchemiststation.com. We always post the episodes out there. It's been a few months since any episodes have gone. Andrew has taken a hiatus in the podcast, and me and Mitch have been reworking it on the back end. So it's going to be very exciting to relaunch. We do have some very high level players coming on. We have a syndication attorney. His name's Mauricio Ronaldo. If you do know who he is, he's a big player in the game. He's one of the biggest syndication attorneys in the country, and he knows his shit. And the reason we're getting him on the podcast is he's a personal friend of Doreena's. I've had him on the podcast before, but it was like 2 or 3 years ago, and so much has changed in the market, especially around capital raising. And we want to make sure that we're giving you the capacity to do this the right way. We do all deals morally, ethically, and legally. And the easiest way to do that is to actually ask an attorney, how do you do this legally? What? And he wrote the book. I can't remember the title of the book, but I know it says something like this. And this is how you know you want to learn from this person, right? His book title was like How to Not Go to Jail. It was like how to raise capital and not end up in prison. And it's really, really, really awesome title of a book. In fact, I wish I thought of it. So Alchemist Nation is on the rise. Our commitment to build 100 millionaires in each one of our locations has really forced us to ask some pointed questions. And one of the questions that we've been asking recently is what's stopping you from getting forward? What's stopping you from moving forward? What's stopping you from getting to the next level? All of our leaders have been on one-on-one calls with me over the last 30 days. I've been on multiple one-on-one calls with each of our leaders. I've brought in high-level business consultants to help our leaders level up, including Billy Reuter, including Mark Dolfini. I've got Doug McGurk is now coaching some of our leaders, and Pete Ambrosino are now coaching our leaders at that higher level to make sure that their business models are tight. So if you're lucky enough to be close to one of our local teams, definitely have conversations with the local leaders. They are getting the highest level of coaching that we can bring to them. And they're looking to bring that to their local groups, building 100 millionaires in each one of the locations. So if you haven't already been assigned a leader or a group near you, please go to alchemiststation.com and let us know and just say, hey, who's my leader? What event am I going to? And we'll make sure that you're assigned. That is, to me, my biggest priority is making sure that you have people you can trust in this process, people that you can work with, people who are holding you accountable to be successful, especially when it gets tough, especially when it's hard. And it's inevitable. Becoming a millionaire means, if you're not already one, it means you will have to change something to become the millionaire that you want to be. And also, it will be a lot of fun. Doing it with us, the goal is to make it a lot of fun. Yes, Fatima, we have multiple groups in Boston. We have directly in Boston and downtown. We have a group in Brockton. We have a group in Plymouth. And we are starting a group in Quincy. So Boston does have multiple groups in the market. You can go to alchemiststation.com, find the local events on the map, and you can just probably put in the location, what's the one closest to you. I'll show you how to do that really quick because I love that question. And by the way, let's give our team a big round of applause. The website is starting to come along really nicely. It's going through some transformations. The next couple of days, it's going to change, shift around, but things should be able to be found pretty easily. Come down to step 3, find your local meetup. And in that, you can just type near my location, and it will find the closest meetup next to you. If you don't find a meetup next to you, please send us an email. You can go to events, email us at events@alchemiststation.com, or you can go down to the sponsor tab. And if you hit join now as a sponsor, you can go and fill this out and just let us know where you'd like an event to actually be started. So if there's an event missing, you can go to the sponsor tab and help us find the people to fill that event. I know that I could stay on here with you all day, but I also know you've got some work to do. Whether it's up here or it's out there, there's somebody you have to talk to. So I want you to go spend some time with that person. If it's you, cool. Love yourself, spend some time with you, write some stuff down. If it's a client, make sure you do that. Call your clients, call the people you serve, if it's your business partner. If it's your spouse, if it's your kids, do that. Enjoy them. Spend some time smiling and being appreciative of the people that you have in your life. And if you don't know, if you're really lost and you're not really sure where to go next, go to Alchemist Nation, take your millionaire path, dial it in, and then reach out to one of our coaches and make sure that you're on the right trajectory. We will not charge you for anything that we provide as a service. It's only the deeper things that actually cost us stuff that we haven't quite figured out how to automate yet. Those are the things we do charge for. But my goal is to one day be able to do those for free. Show fans, if you understand, it's all work in progress, just like you. So next week, we'll be doing wealth principle number 18. And wealth principle number 18 is, let me find it real quick. And if you don't know where the wealth principles are, I will show you how to find them. Wealth principle 18, you go to community tab on Alchemist Nation at the top here. When you get there to the top right, you'll see 52 millionaire wealth principles. You can click on it and scroll down to 18. It is only deliver the highest quality product or services, and from there constantly improve. And the book of the week will be Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone, which I just told Thurbin to read. So if you are in sales, you are gonna love next week's wealth principle. We're gonna be going really hard on. And by the way, some of you may say, "Oh my God, I got the wrong product." I'm glad you figured it out sooner than later. and move into the right product. But next week is all about sales. So if you are in sales or have friends who are in sales, invite them to ibuildmillionaires.com or send them to alchemistnation.com. Cheers to your success. You have a choice. Always work with the best. I love you. I'll see you on the next one. And I'll see most of you Wednesday. And if you're in the RPC, I will see you Monday.
Picked up by law enforcement.
Happy birthday, Walter.
Thank you, Mike. 38 years young.
Sweet.
Vegan season. I'm going into a season of vegan.
The moose will thank you.
That's right.